So for myself, I come from an organisation called the Global Poverty Project, and that organisation aims to see a world without extreme poverty within a generation. And most recently we've started up a campaign called the End of Polio. So we're an educational and campaigning organisation. We don't have programs in developing countries, we're not a fundraiser, we're purely about education, awareness and engagement. And so most recently we've started a campaign in the last 3 years called the End of Polio for the global eradication of polio. Now we're certainly not here to come and try and take the finish line away from Rotary and other people who have been working on for this much longer than we have, but we're really here to just give it that final push to see those last cases of polio eradicated and for people to know and celebrate the efforts of Rotary, UNICEF, WHO and all the other partners involved in this, this monumental effort, so they can celebrate that and then really move on to those other bigger topics and issues and beyond. And our organisation is certainly deeply rooted in the ethos of service above self, like Rotary, and I've been extremely privileged to learn so much from Rotarians over the past 2 years of delivering more than 70 presentations just like this. It all started back in 2011, January the 13th. The world celebrated India going 1 year without a single case of polio. Now, as it's usually said, if India can do it, anywhere can. And the fact that we're now 2 years without a single case of polio in India is just remarkable. Over 1 billion people without one of them catching wild polio virus is truly amazing. And so I celebrated this fact with a famous Indian cricketer, Bhagwath Chandrasekhar. I'm not sure how many of you are cricketing fans, but that was another privilege. He contracted polio as a child and had a slightly withered right hand that he then went on to take 268 test wickets and become a legend of the game. And then from there I was very fortunate last year to travel across Canada, giving many presentations and engaging with many Rotary clubs and holding events at a larger level as well. Then I was even more fortunate on my travels to go and see on-the-ground programs in countries like Pakistan. This is a school here in Pakistan. Now, I myself, I'm from Australia, if you hadn't quite smelt or recognised that just yet. But I grew up in a country that had eradicated polio, well, it hasn't had a case of wild polio virus 6 years before I was born. And the fact that there are children born today that can contract this disease absolutely blows my mind. And so that's why I'm really passionate to learn more about polio and see its global eradication. I also engaged with a lot of Rotarians around the world in Pakistan and India and saw the initiatives, particularly the Polio Plus, that's really driving up to routine immunisation, better community health services and going beyond just the eradication of polio. That was in Karachi and Gadab town, some very volatile places, but incredible the work that the vaccinators, the Rotarians and the programs that are happening there. And many passionate Rotarians like yourselves are doing all sorts of things. There's a van that goes around with a loudspeaker making sure that all their children get their 2 drops of polio vaccine on those national immunisation days. Large tents, entry points into a city like Karachi. They make sure they go on the buses and make sure every child under the age of 5 has had their polio drops. And we can see that in 1988 there were 350,000 cases of polio at the foundation of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. 350,000 in 125 countries were still endemic. But luckily, thanks to Rotary and other organisations, we can see that today it is just down to 3 endemic countries remaining: Nigeria, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And so far this year there's only been 11 cases of polio, and compared that with last year at the same time there were 31 cases of polio. And last year in total there were 223 cases of polio, which is the lowest ever on record, compared to 650 the year before that, which was also a record. So we really are getting towards that last push. But to do that is very important because, as Bill Gates says, 1 case of polio anywhere is a threat everywhere. China recently got reinfected, big epidemics in Chad and the Democratic Republic of Congo and other places. And our mission is not easy. There is always a shortfall of funding, unfortunately. And last year, this shortfall in funding saw 94 million children miss out on a vaccine and 144 million vaccines not produced. So to be so close to eradication and let this slip through our hands would be a tragedy for our generation and generations after us. And so again, this is why our campaign exists. Isn't to come in and take the glory at the end, but is to really support Rotarians and other organisations to make sure that their efforts are heard, celebrated, acknowledged and acted upon. Particularly with campaigns like End Polio Now and the Polio Plus, etc. So Rotarians have been doing many things for many years, since 1985 of taking on this challenge. And so what we try and do is contextualise it in a local context as well. So we're asking Minister McCulley to attend the Global Vaccination Summit on the 24th and 25th of April so that he can stand up and represent New Zealand and be heard to say, yes, New Zealand wants to be a part of this final effort to see the global eradication of polio. So we've set up Rotarian presidents to write letters to Minister McCulley. We also hold things like concerts. We held a concert here with 60,000 people in Central Park. John Hugo, the CEO of Rotary International, was at that event and spoke to the crowd, and many of them my age or younger heard about polio for the first time ever, and also the efforts of Rotary and others. So we don't need to be here doing the work that Rotary does. We kind of need to be here so that people know about the work that Rotary has done, and it's a real privilege to be able to do that. We had fantastic ambassadors, the President's daughter from Pakistan, Asifa Zardari Bhutto, John Hugo, as I mentioned before, Ramesh Ferris, an amazing Canadian polio survivor, a great advocate, and Arti Punjabi as well from India. So all of these ideas is to put things together so that we have the public engagement, but then also the political engagement. So I worked very closely with Wilf Wilkinson from the Rotary Foundation last year in Canada, and making sure that yes, we have the groundswell, but then we can be heard at international meetings like the United Nations General Assembly last year, where again we threw Ramesh in the mix, and he spoke about this with world leaders and others, and people are making pledges for that final push for eradication. It would be fantastic to see Ramesh come out to New Zealand and for him to be hosted at some stage. His presentations are just amazing. So this is why the campaign has existed this summer in New Zealand, is to engage the New Zealand public. I was fortunate to speak on Radio New Zealand with Chris Laidlaw and others, and also giving presentations like this in schools, community groups, faith groups, and also many Rotary clubs. And the letters to Minister Fantino, that's in Canada, Minister McCulley, we've seen over 100 people submit these letters, and I know that MFAT are really keen for Minister McCulley to attend that meeting and for New Zealand to be represented and also be celebrated for the work that they've done in the Pacific, as we're now moving into routine immunisation and transitioning from oral polio vaccine to injectable polio vaccine, where New Zealand's sort of at the forefront of making that happen in the Pacific. Then about 2 weeks ago we held an event. Dr. Jackie Blue, the Member of Parliament from Mount Roskill in Auckland, hosted myself, and many Rotarians attended this event with other Greens MPs, etc., for that political engagement. So a wily bunch of Rotarians there, which was fantastic, and also members of Parliament and others learning more about the topics and issues and taking action. So this is why we want to be a part of this, is to see a polio-free world for everyone, everywhere and forever. And it really is a humble position to be in, to stand on the shoulders of giants like Rotary and to be able to do that advocacy and engagement on behalf of Rotary so people can understand the monumental effort that you people have been doing since 1985 and before then. And the other reason we're doing this is for the vaccinators on the ground. We're amazing advocates and representatives of those people who do this day in and day out. And particularly for the children who receive those 2 drops for life. It is, we're able to be here to speak to ministers and others and engage public on this sort of thing. So more information is at the endofpolio.com/nz, and my contact details if anyone wants to get in touch, etc.